Hello, it's the Friday Q&A and I've got loads of questions. You lot are impressing the hell out of me actually in managing to keep coming up with interesting questions. I ended the Friday Talkie because I pretty much effectively ran out of things to talk about. I'd been there, said it all, whatever, and just was repeating myself. So yeah, but you lot are not having that problem. Lots of questions, so keep them coming. This first question, this was asked, I should have answered this one last week, but somehow I missed it. It's actually not difficult to miss questions, if they're spread out through the week or whatever. You know, I can miss one every now and then, and I missed this one, so I'm answering it now. Sexy Old Gamer Colin. That's a name. Yes. Do you consider yourself a YouTuber celebrity? No, not remotely, not even slightly. I'm just approaching 11,000 subscribers, and in our very small little corner of the YouTube pond, that makes me a minnow among sticklebacks. But no, celebrity absolutely not. I mean, in the years that I've been doing this, and I mean I put up my first video in 2007, but I've only been doing it putting much effort in since 2008. So in the years that I've been doing this, I've only been recognised in the street once. It kind of felt a little bit like being a celebrity when I was at Play Blackpool this year, because lots of people knew who I was and were coming up for a chat and stuff like that, and there was an element of celebrity about that. But in a venue like that, for an event like that, yeah, that's kind of to be expected. But I think everyone who met me and came along and chatted found out, hey, no, I'm just an ordinary bloke. You know, no massive ego, no, I'm not special. I just sit here and go blah, and you know, having a nice number of subscribers doesn't make me a celebrity. It just means there are some people who are bored enough to want to sit and watch for a while. So, no, I mean, I tend not to think how many subscribers do you need before you're a YouTube celebrity. I don't really know, but I mean, I don't start being even impressed until you're approaching the 1 million mark. You know, I think when you've got around 1 million, well, that's something. I think you could then rightly be able to walk through the street and people would know who you were. But less than that, it's not celebrity. It's just a bit of popularity, and mine is. We're a very, very small corner of the YouTube world. You know, we're in a small pond. So, yeah, but it's nice. I'm very happy with the number of people who watch. I'd still like more, but then I think that would always be the case. More! Yeah. Okay, moving on. Zito773. I have a question. Good. What did you want to be when you grew up? A man. No. Well, yes, but no, I understand the question. An artist. I wanted to be an artist. My mother did. She went to art school when she was a girl, or you know, she had finished school. She went to art school, got A levels and stuff, and before she had kids and basically became a housewife, she designed packaging for some company or other, a perfume company. She designed the packaging for them, and I thought that's really cool. And I was, so I assume I still am, quite good at art. And I wanted to be an artist. Unfortunately, I didn't really know how to go about it, and I didn't really get any decent kind of advice, and I didn't really get the kind of support I needed. So it never happened. I didn't know how to go about it. Careers officer in school, I said, they're like, what would you like to be when you leave? I said, I'd like to be an artist, and their line was, well, there's no work there, you know, you won't get that, so think of something else. And I look back and I think about that and I think, well, thank you very much. what I needed to do was resit some O-levels and then either go to art school or stay in school and do A-levels. But I didn't get to do that because my dad was like, go out and get a job or get out of my house. And that basically scuppered my future right there and then. Thanks, Dad, you tosser. Yeah, so I went and worked in warehouses. Didn't get to do what I wanted to do. We'll get on to other things on a similar vein later. Yeah, I wanted to be an artist. Kind of what sort of artist, I don't know. I didn't really want to be like a commercial, corporate, graphic design type artist. I wanted to be your guy with your easel and your paints. And, well, I don't know if I was aware that, like, Van Gogh, one of the most celebrated artists, died in poverty and lived in poverty. And, you know, I don't think I was particularly realistic in what I wanted or whatever, but, you know, it didn't happen. ScribbleSamAnimation. 4 questions here. What are your opinions on the Nintendo 64 disk drive? Me personally, I think it's for the better that the add-on failed. I don't know enough about it to comment. I'm assuming, what kind of drive was it? Was it a floppy drive? Was it? I mean, I know they were talking about having a they were going to do a Sony CD drive to go with the SNES, but I don't know what the Nintendo 64 disk drive is. I know I did once, I read about it, but I can't remember, and for the purpose of making this video to answer that, I'd have to pull up Google and look it up, and I'm not going to do that. So I don't know. 2. Would you do a video in which you would destroy a console you disliked? For example, if you had enough money, would you buy another Gamecom just to do a video of you destroying it one way or another and upload it onto YouTube? This isn't a you should thing. This is more so much a question of curiosity. In other words, would you? No, absolutely not. Doesn't matter if it's a piece of junk. I would not spend money to buy something to trash. And I just plain wouldn't trash it. I think I see videos where people do that. They get something they don't like and they smash it up and make a video. I dislike that. I really don't like destructive behaviour in any way, shape or form. My brother was that kind of is that kind of person. I would have cool toys and he would smash them. And he would not get into trouble for it beyond being told, oh, you naughty boy. And that was that, so he would continue to do it. And I hate destructive behaviour. I think it's unnecessary, it's pointless. Smashing up consoles, even crap ones, no, they should be preserved so you can remind future generations or demonstrate to them, this is the kind of shit we had to play with, you with your fancy new Hologrammavision 5000. We had Gamecom. Yeah, no, I would not ever do that. I object to people doing that kind of thing. I think it's, well, it's their right to do it if they want to, but I find it obnoxious and I don't like it. 3. What is your opinion on British television in its current state? For me, there hasn't been a good programme to watch on TV since 2005-ish. I do like British television programmes, but I only like old programmes like Bottom or Mr. Bean. I don't like the newies, but that's me. What about you? Do you mean British TV channels or British-made programmes? In terms of watching telly, I have no problem whatsoever finding anything I want to watch. I love TV. My problem is finding something that both myself and my wife would like to watch. Because for me, I can just put on the History Channel and that's me sorted. I could just leave it there. Or some of the documentary channels. There are several History Channels, and then National Geographic. I like that or some of them. There are different National Geographic channels now, aren't they? They're can't speak. Yeah, lots of informative stuff. BBC 4 is a fantastic channel. It's just a shame it only runs for a few hours a night. No, loads and loads. British British drama programmes are sometimes very, very good. I mean, Luther was great, and they're bringing that back, though I'm not sure how they can, because he's dead. And I like, I mean, it's not been on for a while, it finished quite a long while ago. Wire in the Blood was brilliant. Waking the Dead, brilliant. What are we watching at the moment? We're the old episodes of, it's not Waking the Dead, it's that other thing, I can't remember. It's another thing like Waking the Dead, you know, they've got the corpse, they've got to solve the murder, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing, I like all of those. So British drama can be good. I don't really like your period dramas that much. Though, I mean, I suppose George Gently could come under that. That's kind of a period drama, but it's like, was it 60s? I like it. No, British TV, best it's ever been, honestly. I mean, yeah, kids' TV programmes these days are crap. I preferred the old kids' programmes that were full of innuendo and no one realised it at the time, or at least the kids didn't. But I think that's always the way. You prefer the programmes that were around when you were a kid, when it comes to kids' TV. Yeah. But British TV in general, no, I think it's great. And I mean, the amount of American TV programmes we get on British TV, well, there's some fantastic stuff. Walking Dead in particular, love that. We're watching Under the Dome. It's appallingly rubbish, but we're watching it. Falling Skies, we watched that. Homeland, we watched that. That's really quite cold at the moment. I don't know. Without Brody, it's not. But anyway, yeah, British TV, loving it. 4. What are your opinions on the Tiger R Zone? It was a poor man's Virtual Boy. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I don't even count it as a games console, really. The technology used on it is too similar to the old school tabletop things. It doesn't have proper graphics. They're just shapes that light up, predefined shapes. It's like blob here, blob here, blob here, and you'll never get a blob of graphics appear anywhere other than in these predefined points. And I mean, that kind of technology, we had that in late 70s, early 80s. It's a toy. It's not a console. To me, it doesn't count. I'm not interested in it. So it's got an interesting reflective thing going on somewhere or other, so it appears like a hologram or something. I don't care. It's cheap tat. It's rubbish. They're considered junk for a reason. They're junk. It's not even close to being what a Virtual Boy was. If you want a poor man's Virtual Boy, you get one of those Tomytronic things. They're clever. They work. And they're vastly superior to the R Zone. That's just it's nonsense. I don't know why people even talk about them. They're irrelevant. My opinion. Okay, moving on. Chris James. Gamers tend to dismiss any negative influences that video games has, particularly in relation to violence. Unquestionably, video games are now extremely violent, and in many cases this is now very realistic violence. Do you think this has any negative consequences, and if so, what? Do you think violence in virtual or augmented reality games has any potential psychological consequences? In general, do you think we should be concerned about the potential psychological consequences of virtual reality, or will it only have positive benefits? Right, okay. Studies indicate that video games have absolutely no impact whatsoever on the violent behaviour of children. Doesn't matter what the press keep jumping up and down and screaming about. These are the facts, scientifically investigated. No impact. It is true that kids, teens, whatever, have watched violent or played violent video games and then behaved violently. Absolutely, that is true. It has happened. But the fact is, that child or teen or youth or whatever was or would have been a violent person anyway. If a mentally disturbed person watches a video game, plays a video game, and then goes out and massacres a bunch of people. Don't blame the video game. Blame the society or the system that allowed that mentally disturbed person to be out in the community in the first place. They should be identified and put into a secure place where they can be helped. You don't do something crazy unless you're crazy. Video games do not make people crazy. They can be a trigger, I would say, in my opinion. They can be a trigger that will push someone over the edge. But if that person is in a position or in a mental state where they can be pushed over the edge by a video game, they can be pushed over the edge by a TV program, by a book, by something said to them in a bar. Violent people are violent. The triggers may differ, but blaming the video game because the crazy person did something crazy is backward. It's scaremongering. It's just people who want to control everything. Governments, we don't get this so much in Britain. You hear of it in America, politicians jumping up, down and screaming and wanting to control this and that and the next outrageous thing. It's like rock and roll in the 50s and whatever. There's always something new and we've got to stop this, it's destroying our youth, blah blah. It's bollocks. Don't be taken in by the scaremongering. Because that's what it is. Propaganda. The media. The media, old media, not so much TV, certainly not in the UK, but the press, they would like to stop all kinds of things. They'd like to stop the internet if they could because, well, it's hurting their profits. Vested interests, there are lots of them, and for many of them stopping the success of video games would be a good thing because it costs them money because they're in competing businesses. Don't believe the propaganda, don't believe the bullshit, don't believe the biased reporting. Look at the science and just use your head. Crazy people do crazy things, and it doesn't matter what the trigger is. The trigger is just that. It's not the cause of the problem. Okay. Also, I've noticed you play a lot of what could be called pick up and play games. Is this purely due to time constraints? Are you interested in storytelling in games? And do you think this is an important part of gaming in the future? I play that kind of game when I'm making videos because I am not going to sit for hours and hours and hours on end recording me play a game with a storyline. That doesn't make for a good video, and I don't have the time to do that. I don't play many games with a storyline these days when I'm not making a video, and it is really about time constraints. I do like games with a storyline, like Half-Life 2. Love it, absolutely love it. And the what you call it, Elder Scrolls games. I mean, I don't generally do RPGs, but those are Bethesda games. I like them. And Far Cry. I played the first Far Cry. I mean, the storyline, yeah. The storyline on these isn't especially the point. I mean, they are more about the action than the story. Shenmue, love that. There's certainly a story there. I like them. I don't have the time, is the problem. I don't have the time for playing that kind of game anymore. So, yeah, pick up and play. Mostly, I mean, apart from what you see me play here, when I'm playing for fun, these days, if I'm playing a modern game, I'm actually only playing one game. I'm playing Battlefield 4, and that's all I'm playing. And it is to a degree pick up and play. It's because I don't want to have to remember the storyline. You know, if I play for a couple of hours, 4 hours if I'm lucky, I've got a friend online who I play with sometimes, and we have a good laugh on there. And I can play for a few hours, and then I maybe don't play for a week after that, but I can come back and pick it up and play again. And I mean, 4 hours in one sitting is not exactly pick up and play, but, you know, it's not... Is that casual gaming? Maybe it is to a degree. There is progression because you get more weapons and experience points and stuff. But it is because I don't know what I'm going to be able to play next, and if the thing's got a storyline, I'm going to have forgotten what happened. And this comes from being married, really. It's like I'm doing stuff in the daytime, not gaming, basically, just stuff that I have to do, be it housework, yeah, quite a bit of that. And in the evening when my wife comes home, I'm spending time with her. So, you know, storylines. I like them. I like games with them. I don't have time for them anymore. I used to play them before I was married, but I don't anymore. Finally, have you played The Last of Us? I'm guessing the answer will be no. You're right. I'm just asking because as a writer, I consider this to be an absolutely supreme piece of storytelling and narrative. I've never played it. I read about it. I thought it sounded very impressive. I was put off because of the, what are they, quick time events. I dislike quick time events in games. To me, that's not gaming. To me, that is, well, what was the thing with the knight and the dragon and whatnot in the arcades back in the 80s? I've forgotten what it's called. I can animated thing, cartoon. Dave was doing a Master System version of it recently, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, no. I don't like QuickTime events. I don't think that is a game. It's a memory test and a reflex test. So storyline might have been absolutely fantastic. The graphics might have been fantastic. But if you can't control it like a proper game, I don't want to play it. That part always put me off on Shenmue as well. I didn't. That was the weakest part of Shenmue. Fixato. Have you heard of Project Ara? The modular phone, link to it there. If you could assemble your ideal smartphone, what would its main features be and what would it look like? Excuse me, something just came in through the letterbox. That or a cat just trashed something. Interruption after interruption. So it was the postman. He brought me that Evo magazine. I have a subscription, thank you to my wife for that. It was a birthday present. And then the phone rang, and it was my wife. So, yes, if you could assemble your ideal smartphone, what would its main features be? The first feature would be it doesn't ring when I'm recording a video. What would it look like? Okay. Screen would not need to be supermassive high resolution. Don't care about that. It would need to be adequate to play video games and watch videos. I think modern phones, they're getting stupid about their resolution. It just doesn't matter. Good viewing angles, good brightness, good colour and contrast. Those things matter. But resolution, meh. Camera, it would need a good camera, but by that I don't mean super mega high pixel count. It doesn't need to be massive megapixels. Irrelevant, doesn't matter. What it needs is good lens, good controllable lens. I doubt that you get much control over depth of field with such a small, you know, you need a bit of a heft to it to get control over your depth of field. But you know, still a decent lens will give you, you can have a low pixel count and a good lens and it will give you far better pictures than a cheap lens and a higher pixel count. Stick a good lens on it and a good sensor so that it can take low light pictures. That matters, you know. Big sensitive sensor on the camera. Processor speed, you know, reasonable, quad core, something like that. I don't really care about stuff like that. Sat nav, GPS, or all of your gyros and stuff, so it will track movement in all directions, so that you can use it for things like Google Cardboard, virtual reality, that sort of stuff. That matters. The important thing for me would need to be, now I don't know if this would be like an attachment that you slotted into. You need physical game controls. You need twin thumbsticks. You need a D-pad, you need 4 face buttons, you need shoulder pads, shoulder buttons, shoulder pads? Wow, we're back to the 80s. Yeah, shoulder buttons, bumpers if you like. I don't know why people call them that, I don't call them that. Proper game controlled. Now maybe this is an add-on that you slot the phone into, like that wiki pad kind of thing. Or maybe it's like you know, the Gizmondo was damn nearly all of those things. Basically, I would like a modern Gizmondo, but with, you know, more compact modern technology in it. A gaming phone, good quality stuff, runs Android. I don't, you know, the modular thing. Can you get game controls as modular attachments or something? Whatever. Don't know. That's what I'd like. I don't really care what it looks like, so long as it does the job well. AC5015. Question 1. Are there games that are exclusives from console makers you don't support that you would like to give a try if it were allowed on a console you do support? Yes, Halo. And that's probably the only one. I mean, Forza, I'd probably give Forza a go, but Halo I really would. I've got Halo 1. I should get Halo 2, I haven't got it yet, on my original Xbox, and I think it's fantastic. It's a great game, I really enjoy it. And I would like to play the later Halo games, but I'm not going to buy a 360 and I'm not going to buy an Xbone just to play them. So if they appeared on other systems that I do own, yeah, I would absolutely play them. 2. Are there any criteria you look for in questions you are asked before you answer them? Yes, they must not be inappropriate, and that's all. I try to answer every question that is asked. I try, but as demonstrated at the very start of this video, I sometimes fail because I miss a question. Either I missed it and didn't copy and paste it onto my text file here that I'm reading from, or I failed to read the text file properly and my eyes just skimmed past and I missed the question. I've done that before. That's failure on my part. That's not deciding not to answer the question. The only time I don't ask a question is if someone asks something thoroughly inappropriate. Personal, sexually related stuff. I look at them and I think, really? And maybe they're a joke. But I mean, I know I use innuendo in some of my videos, but that's suggestive. It's not, you know, I have seen questions that have crossed the line. You know who I'm talking about, don't you, if you're that person? Yeah, I see direct questions of a personal sexual nature, and I just think, do you really think that is an appropriate or reasonable question to ask? Is it meant to be a joke? Because if it's just a plain direct question, there's no humour in that. That's not funny, it's just inappropriate, and you should know better. Yeah, those are the questions I avoid. Anything else, I answer everything. Because I think if someone's taken the time to ask the question, then they must be interested. I don't think people are just asking questions for the sake of asking. And if someone's taken the time to ask the question, I will take the time to answer it. You know, if they have a genuine interest, it doesn't really matter what the subject is, as long as it's not inappropriate. I'll answer them all. Hugh James Cooksley. Do you use a wheel when playing Gran Turismo games? If so, did you notice an improvement in your overall performance in the game? And finally, would you recommend using a wheel for Gran Turismo and other racing games? I have a wheel. I bought a wheel specifically for Gran Turismo 4. It's I think it's made by Game, the game store. It's got force feedback. It sounded like a really good thing. It's one that you can put on your lap, and it's got kind of clamps that hold it to your lap, if you like, instead of having to use suction cups and put it on a desk. I think you can do that as well. The force feedback is good. The calibrating it never seemed right. It could never seem to quite hit full throttle, which was basically rendered it rubbish, and the pedals just wouldn't stay in the right place on the floor. That made it awkward. I found I was slower. Even when I got it working right, found a way of getting full throttle, which was actually push the buttons instead of the pedals. I was slower with it. I can play racing games quicker, significantly quicker, with a joypad. Which is disappointing because using a wheel is more immersive. Vastly, it puts you there, it puts you into the game, and I love that. But in terms of actually how well I play, now I play better with a joypad. So, having found that out, I no longer play with a wheel. I don't try. I keep meaning to dig the thing out of the loft and give it another go on my PS3. I don't know if it will work with it. I've got a joypad socket to USB converter, and I keep thinking I'll try that and see if it'll work on my PS3 with Gran Turismo. It might not. But no, I don't use a wheel for general playing. Papa Chuck, what is your favourite arcade game of the 80s and why? Do you have one that the game was a bit poor but the music was great? For me, Phoenix and Gyros. Cheers in advance. Favourite game of the 80s, arcade game? You don't know the answer to that already? Everyone else does, I'm sure, if they watch on a regular basis. Atari Star Wars. Sit-down cabinet, although I'll play the stand-up one as well. I love that game. It is my favourite arcade game. Never mind of the 80s, it's my favourite arcade game of all time. And will probably remain so. The music on that is fantastic as well, because it's Star Wars, but the game is great, so it doesn't. Why? Because I loved Star Wars. I still love Star Wars. And here was a game, a well-designed, well-developed, technically for the time advanced game, three-dimensional, first-person view. You're in an X-Wing fighter, attacking TIE fighters, attacking the Death Star. What's not to love about that? I really don't need to explain, I'm sure. If you loved Star Wars and you were of an age where you would be in arcades at that time, nothing was going to beat that. And nostalgia being what it is, nothing now could beat that. It's the perfect arcade game for a person like me. Game that I love. The music was great, but the game was poor. Oddly, I think Phoenix and especially Gyros are really, really good video games anyway. I agree the music on those is great. And Gyros, I think the music was the most notable. For me, I think that's probably got the best arcade game music in any arcade game I can think of. But I think it's a great game as well. So, yeah, I can't think of any others where the music is of note. Particularly. Well, the music on, this is going to upset some people. Bubble Bobble, Bobble Bubble, that, you know, them. I thought the music, now wait, Mr. Do, isn't it? Yeah, I think Mr. Do had really, really, really catchy music, and I thought the gameplay was a bit meh, but yeah, that as well, I guess. The Kiranator. Do you buy games or hardware from charity shops? And if so, what was your best charity shop haul or purchase? Do I, as a rule, well, there's not a straight answer to that. I try, I look, I go into charity shops and I look. But these days they don't have anything because we've got cash converters or two different shops of that type in town now, and people have realised they can get money for these things, so they don't give them away anymore. You know, it used to be someone had an old console or a ton of games or whatever that they were like, this is old, I don't need this anymore. They'd give it to a charity shop. They don't do it anymore. You got to pay. So I used to, back when they would have games, mostly it was PS1, PS2 and some Game Boy games, but I don't recall buying a console from a charity shop. I don't think they don't have them here, partly because they have to be what they call pat tested. They've got to be checked for electronic safety, so they're not going to cause a fire because they don't want to get sued. And there is a charity shop in Worksop that actually does pat test them, but they never have anything worth. They had an Amiga 1200 in there, and you think, charity shop, cool, cheap Amiga. No, it was 70 quid. Which was, at that time, what you would have paid on eBay. So I didn't buy that. I mean, it was not an unreasonable price, but you think charity shops are about getting bargains, not paying eBay prices. So it was kind of annoying, really. Yeah, so no, I still look from time to time, but as I tend to expect, they don't have any anymore. Shame. Right, my main man skins. I always find that a curious name. Anyway, 1. Do you think the video games industry would benefit by going backwards? By that I mean less is more. Creativity seems to be dying. No, I don't. I think it's maybe going to go a step backwards anyway. Well, the industry, the hardware manufacturers seem to be wanting to push download only digital installations or streamed. I think there may be a backlash against that, and we may have a industry crash. Maybe. I think there needs to be a realigning, because the power of the gaming industry should be with the consumer. We decide what we want, we pay for what we want. We don't... The consumer will only allow industry to dictate to them for a certain amount of time, and if you try and push something onto them that they don't want, they don't buy it. Try and force them, and it is gradually getting that way. It's going to go tits up, and I think there may be a backward step in that Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, whoever, are going to try and push something a little bit too hard, and they're going to find themselves on their asses, and people are going to wind up just playing games on their tablets and their phones and their PCs. And I know all of those are download only, but at least they're not streamed. You still don't really get the control, but a game on your phone or on your tablet is cheap, at least. You're not paying £40, £50 for a game that at some point that some corporation is going to say, we're not supporting that anymore, and then you can't play it. That's kind of what they would like to do, and I think there will be a backlash there, and people will be playing on lesser hardware. In that sense, there may be a step back. Do I think it should happen? No, I would rather it didn't. But I think it might happen, because the big gaming corporations and whatnot, the manufacturers and the developers, they're getting greedy. They're getting very, very greedy. They're getting too big for their boots, and they're going to wind up. There will be a backlash, and they will find themselves on their arses. Then the independents, the independent people producing and developing for the mobile platforms like, you know, Android, Apple, phones, they will pick up the pieces, and gaming will be rebalanced. Not in a way that I would like. I would like a home console with a solid, be it solid state kind of cartridge, SD based, whatever, some kind of physical format. That's what I like, but we'll see. 2. I miss arcades. If they still existed now, I feel like I would be too old to go and feel like a creep. Would you like to see them back, and if so, would you go? What would they offer? The thing with arcades back in the day was they gave you a gaming experience that you could not have at home. The games were better. There was home gaming hardware, eventually, but what you could play in the arcades was better. What is the reason now? Why? I mean, I would love, if there was a retro arcade, I would go for a little bit. But then it probably would be all kids, and I mean it has been done. So I read about, I can't remember what the article was, this chap built his own retro arcade, and the local kids went in and trashed it. He'd spent tens of thousands getting all this old kit and doing it up and getting the venue and everything, and the local kids trashed it in a night. Tragic. Sometimes, like when I'm on holiday, and I mean the last place I remember was in Worthing. They had a retro arcade. There was also one in Blackpool as well, down near the Pleasure Beach. And it was cool. I went in there and I liked it. And certainly with the retro ones, there were people who appreciated it for what it was. But a modern arcade, I don't see what it could offer, because home consoles now are so good. I imagine I would check. It would depend what, you know, if they found a selling point or if it was retro, I would go, and then whether I continued to go would depend on the atmosphere and the other people that went there. If it was full of kids who were just twatting about and trashing things or being yobbish or unpleasant in whatever way young kids can be unpleasant, then I wouldn't go. But if it was full of people who behaved in a respectful manner, regardless of their age, yeah, I would go to a retro arcade. It's all about what does it offer and what does it cost. If I can do the same thing at home more cheaply, why go? 3. Do you care about high scores in games? I don't. I play to play and have fun. I know some people do care. I don't give a crap about high scores. I don't even look at my score. For me, like you, I play to play. That's why a lot of the time I actually like modern games. People complain that modern games are too easy. Well, they are easier. Without a doubt, modern games are easier, but it's not about the score anymore. It's about the playing experience. Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Galaxian Defender, it was about the score. But it's because it was an arcade game. It didn't want you to play for a long time. So to give you an incentive, here was a score. See if you can beat this score, or that score, or the other person's score, or your own score. It gave you an objective, because it was about doing an amount in a very short space of time. That's no longer a factor. It's not about the money. You've paid your money, and you want something big. And for it to be a big game, it's got to be easy, otherwise you're excluding people. And games should be inclusive, not exclusive. You make a game too hard, people of limited playing skill are not going to get their money's worth, and then the games wouldn't sell. So, yeah, I don't give a crap about the score. I think it's an irrelevance in modern gaming, and even on retro games, no, I don't care. I just play for the fun of it. Try and stay alive as long as I can. I don't care what the score is. 4. When your dog's toenails are making noise, do you think of it as a dog tap dancing? Or do you think of it as dog tap dancing? No. I never thought of that until you wrote it, but I know exactly what you mean. I love the sound of it. We have a laminate floor in our kitchen, and our dogs, they'll go prattling about in there, romping around, and yeah, their toenail, well, it's claws, isn't it? They clatter. I love that sound, I really do. Never thought of it as tap dancing, but there's just something really nice about that noise. Lilac Floyd. 1. YouTube is nearly 10 years old, and you have been posting videos on here for around 7 years. Yeah, give or take. If YouTube is still around in decades to come, what are your thoughts on your videos being watched by people in, say, 20 or even 50 years' time? Maybe even after you are no longer around. I want that to happen. I really want that to happen. It's part of why I do this. And maybe that's sad. I don't have kids of my own. I have never wanted kids of my own. I don't have the patience or the inclination or any of the things that people generally have in terms of wanting to be a parent. I find kids unpleasant. So in that sense, I have no genetic legacy. I have no, for people, for parents, their kids are their legacy. They're leaving something of themselves behind. I don't have that. So what can I leave behind? So that after I'm dead, people will remember that I existed. There will be something of me, something that I made. My videos are my legacy, and I really hope YouTube continues, or if not YouTube, some other service, site, thing that will take over, archive the videos, keep them. I hope the videos survive, because they're all I'll be leaving, and they will be of historic value, along with the billions of others that all the other gaming related video makers are putting up. But yeah, now I want them to survive for as long as possible, you know. 1,000 years from now, some evolved human, oh, what's this geezer? God, he plays like crap. Yeah, I want them to keep going. They're my legacy, and maybe that's foolish, but I don't care, because it's all I've got. It's all I've got to leave behind, to be remembered by in the end. 2, I remember in the 80s that we had some crap arcade conversions for the home systems, and the arcade was always way ahead in terms of graphics, etc. When was the first game and or system, in your opinion, that equalled or even bettered the arcade games? It's a good question. Dreamcast, Daytona. I started noticing a convergence between the home systems and the arcades with the PS1. You had Ridge Racer on the PS1, and it was good. It was impressive. It was really good and played brilliantly, but graphically it was not quite there. And then you had Daytona on the Saturn, and it played all right, but graphically, bleh. So that generation of hardware, no. I mean, you did start seeing arcade games that were using PS1 hardware, and I was actually thoroughly unimpressed. I thought, no, come on, really? We come to the arcades to play stuff that's better than what we've got at home, and here was this PS1 hardware in an arcade game, and I thought, that's shit. Why would you? Why would I pay money to play that if I can play something as good at home? And I thought that was stupid. But Dreamcast, they put Daytona on it, and it was better than the arcade game visually. I don't know, control wise, not so much. I don't think it really plays as well as I would like, control wise. But visually, yeah, that's when things started. That's when the arcades, to my mind, started dying. They stopped progressing. They stopped being a reason to go, and I stopped going. Modern arcade games just stopped being worth bothering with, because the home stuff was then too good. Dreamcast, Daytona for me, yeah. Wingnut4427, what are your top 5 pet peeves from your viewers that make you want to reach through your screen and choke the hell out of them? Wait, maybe you shouldn't answer this. No, too late, I'm going to. Okay, you know the first one. You should do whatever. Any kind of you should. I don't like it. You know, you should read the instructions. You should play this game. You should blah, blah, blah. Yeah, hate that. Suggestion that, or recommendation that I play a game on a system that I don't own. Particularly if it's one that I've been very vocal about the fact that I don't own it. And consistently and over a long period of time. You know, I don't own a 360, I don't own an Xbone. Don't suggest I play a game on those. Honestly, it's the assumption. And there is an assumption that I own every console or computer or whatever under the sun. I don't. I've got a big collection, but I don't own everything. And I guess the assumption that I do, yeah, that annoys the shit out of me. You play like shit, you should read the manual. Why are you so crap? That was a shit review, blah, 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 blah. The ones that just completely miss the point of what I do. Yeah, they bug me. You know, I've complained about this many times. The reasons why I do things the way I do. And you'll still get people who miss the point. It is about the first time experience, about not knowing what you're doing. About plug it in, turn it on, play the game, don't read the instructions, just take it as it comes. And how does that make you feel when you're playing it? That's what this is, and people will... I understand, there will be people who think I'm doing a review show. And wow, what a shoddy job I'm doing of it. Look, I don't know what I'm doing. I understand. You know, someone who comes along new, they've done a search, they see here's this guy playing this game that they're interested in, and they're interested in the game, not my reaction to it. I understand that they won't appreciate what I'm doing, and then they sit there and complain about it. But it does piss me off. What was that? That was number 3. Okay. Number 4. I have just played game A on system A. And I will frequently get the comment, what's this game like on system B? How the hell would I know? Sometimes, you know, sometimes I have maybe played it on system B, but I've just played it on system A, and that's what the video is of. I'm not a comparison site. I don't bloody well know what it's like on system B, most likely. Though, I mean, I am a moody bastard old geezer, you know. Victor Meldrew's got nothing on me. I do get irritated very easily, and that is one that just annoys the shit out of me. How would I know? Look it up yourself. Yeah, and the final one, and this one actually, I'll do a system review, or whatever, a game on a system, and I will get asked the question, where can I buy this? What am I? Am I Google? Am I eBay? I mean, my answer is always the same, eBay. But come on, really, seriously, do the work yourself. Don't expect me to do the research for you. What do you think I am? I'm here to play games and have a laugh and make amusing videos, hopefully. I am not, I don't have all the answers, or, you know, it's like, I get asked technical questions, I get asked what does this cost, I get asked where can I get this. There is a misconception in some areas that I know everything about everything retro gaming related, and I will get asked questions, you know, how do I fix this? I've got this problem. How do I stop this happening? Or how do I mend this? Or who can I go to fix this? Or where can I buy this? Or how much does this cost? And if this works on this, will it work on this? How the hell? Google. Google is your friend. I'm not going to do the research for you. How would I know? I just played the game or bought the thing. I don't have all the answers. And it is the assumption that I am the font of all knowledge on things retro gaming. Yeah, that yeah, that would make me reach through the screen and want, yeah. That was a fun question to answer. Look at all the thumbs down now. You're like, yeah, bastard, thumb down. Because I do get thumbs down when I'm negative about anything, particularly if I'm negative about things that my viewers do, because no one wants to be criticised by the person they're watching. So, yeah, that'll get a lot of thumbs down. Thanks for that. No one to blame but myself. Anzac 1869. Hi Steve. Hi. Have you ever been burnt out from playing games so much that you had to take a break from it all and go and do something different? I know that I had to do that a couple of times, where I wouldn't go back to playing anything for a couple of weeks. No. There are times when I don't play many games for a while, just because I don't feel like playing games for a while. I don't consider it being burnt out. I'm just doing other things. I do lots of things. I've got lots of things to spend my time on. Photography, watching films, making music, though I haven't done much of that recently. Lots of stuff to occupy my time with. I like to just tinker with stuff and all sorts of things. So there will be times where I'm not playing games much because I'm doing other stuff, but it's not because I'm burnt out with playing video games. I do get burnt out with this, from this, by this, whatever. Making videos. I do from time to time take a break from it, be it a week or a month, or not sure what the longest is. Yeah, I can get burnt out by YouTube. It takes an amount of time to do this part in particular, the talking to the camera. It is it takes an amount of mental energy And sometimes I'm just like, I can't do that for a bit, and I will take a break. But video games themselves, no, I've never got burnt out by it. Down the Rabbit Hole. That's an interesting name. Hi Steve. Hi. Why do you think Boom Blocks on the Wii sold badly, and then about a year later Angry Birds came out on iPhone and was a huge success? They're essentially the same type of game, and both had come out on highly successful platforms. I had to Google Boom Blocks, or rather look it up on YouTube and watch some video footage, and I think I have the answer. My answer actually is twofold. One is the nature of the Wii. People bought the Wii because it was a novelty. It sold by the bucket load as a system, but then sat on people's shelves and collected dust. It was bought by people who are not natural gamers. It was bought by casual gamers, but grannies who were, I shouldn't say grannies, older people, people who were interested in the technology, interested in the motion control with the Wiimote thing and all of that, and they'd seen Wii Sports and thought, that's really good. These newfangled games consoles, they're interesting, we'll give that a go because we're still young at heart. And they bought them and they had a go, and it was fun for 5 minutes. And that was that. They didn't buy anything else. The Wii, massively successful as a item to sell. But it wasn't gamers who were buying it. Not traditional gamers, not people who buy lots of games. And Boom Blocks, I suspect, was a casualty of that phenomena. A console bought by people who don't play games. Also, design-wise, I sat there watching it and thought, it is ill-defined. I understood the game, I could understand what was going on, but because it was three-dimensional and there was the one control to rotate what was going on, your view, and another to fling whatever it was you were flinging, it was less immediate. I've never played Angry Birds either, but as I understand it, you know, motion, touch control on the screen, pull your thing back like catapulty, whatever, bird, let go, ping, off it goes and flies into whatever it is that you're knocking down. Really, really simple. No get the right angle, no which button am I meant to be pressing, no less thought, really. It was simpler. It was easier, utterly intuitive, where Boom Blocks, okay, as a gamer I can look at it and understand what you're meant to do. But for a casual gamer who doesn't really understand games, there was a little bit too much to have to think about. 3D orientation, rotational position of what's going on the screen. Which button do you press? The one to rotate or the one to fire, and how long or whatever to hold the thing to fire with what strength and blah blah blah. No, too much for the player to think about if they're not a proper full-on gamer. Where Angry Birds, pull it back, let it go, ping, easy, simple. That to me is why Angry Birds worked and Boom Blocks didn't. I might be wrong. But, I mean, I've not followed either of these. I don't play and have never played Angry Birds. I couldn't tell you if it's even fun. It doesn't interest me. It's not my kind of gaming. So, I mean, while I do pick up and play gaming, I don't consider myself a casual gamer. And that, to me, was far too casual a game for my liking. So, yeah, my conclusions there are based on, like, watching a video for 30 seconds. Could be way off base, but that's my theory. Trevor Whale. Hi Steve. Hi Trevor. 1. Do you think this really is the last generation of the dedicated video games console? I personally think that after the current gen, you will get Sony, Microsoft branded Steambox type things. Basically a console, possibly running Windows, with cheap PC hardware inside and simple setup, locked to run only PS, Xbox branded games. We are probably at that stage already with the current gen. I don't think they'll be running Windows, or if they are, it will be very, very hidden underneath. No, I don't think they'll run Windows. Having a bloated operating system that hogs resources to launch games that need resources would be silly. You need something streamlined that's not going to get in the way. But PC hardware, yes, well, they've already done that, haven't they? The current gen are PC hardware. They're not quite interchangeable, but yeah, dedicated hardware. The only people doing dedicated hardware now are Nintendo, and it's not working for them. Yeah, generic hardware is on the way, without a doubt. The operating system, I think they will still do their own operating system because it can be fairly streamlined. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need bells and whistles because it is just for gaming. It doesn't need to be a Windows thing. This isn't my concern. I'm not worried about, I don't care what the hardware is inside them. Could not give a monkey's. It is, what media will they use? Will it be solid state? Will it be optical? Will it be download only? Will it be streamed? If it's download only, I will not be happy. But the PSP Go has proven that that is not necessarily a disaster, because if you can hack the firmware, then when the service eventually dies and you can't buy the games on download, you can basically pirate them and download them elsewhere. That is the only thing that makes a PSP Go worth having. You can just download the ROMs because of hacked firmware. So while I find download only fairly objectionable as a concept, as a way of providing games to the gamer, it isn't necessarily a disaster if you can get custom firmware. But if it's streamed, I will have nothing to do with streamed stuff. If they're if they start doing I've forgotten what it's called already. I mean, Sony has supposedly got it on the PS4 already. You want to play PS3 games, you stream them. I will have nothing to do with that. And if consoles become that, that's it. Game over for me. I will never buy a modern console again. 2. Another question. What would compel you to buy an Xbox One? Gran Turismo become an Xbox exclusive? The next GTA being an Xbox exclusive? Both very unlikely, I know. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If the Xbox One was the only console option... No, wait. It doesn't even need to be that. If there was no PlayStation 4... I would buy an Xbox One, because I rate the Xbox One above the Wii U in terms of capability and the kind of games that are on it. I don't really like Nintendo games. There's people jumping up and down screaming now. I'm Microsoft and Xbox fanboys and Nintendo fanboys. They're I mean, fanboys isn't even the right... It's kind of a derogatory term. Platforms have their enthusiasts, and being enthusiasts, they're very enthusiastic about, they're passionate. So when there's someone saying, I don't like this system, they can be quite vocal about it. And here I am, don't like Nintendo, don't like Microsoft. That's a lot of people going to be disagreeing with me. But yeah, if there was no PS4, I would buy the Xbox One in preference to the Wii U, because it has more of my kind of game on it. But no single game franchise could make me buy an Xbox One. There would have to be no PS4 for me to consider buying it. As it is at the moment, I'm not buying any of the next-gen systems for the time being. I haven't got the money, and there aren't any games on them that make me want to buy them. Granted, Grand Theft Auto looks fantastic on the next-gen systems, But I've got it on the PS3. It might not be as good on the PS3, but I'm not going to buy it again. I don't do that. I think if I've got the game, the gameplay should be just about right. There might be some bells and whistles or graphical enhancements or other features that are better. But basically, if it's the same game, I'm not going to buy it again. And I'm certainly not going to buy a new console to play it. There has to be something really, really, really great on next-gen consoles, on the PS4, before I will think of buying it. Something, it doesn't yet have a must-buy game. And I've got to be honest, Gran Turismo isn't on it yet. And am I ever going to buy another Gran Turismo game again? Gran Turismo 6, for me, the whole update thing on that is so tragic. So wrong, so broken. It's a slap in the face. I may never buy another Gran Turismo game. I don't know. It certainly wouldn't make me buy an Xbox One. No. Repeating myself now. I think I made my point. Okay. The EEPROM 9. I don't know how to term this as a question, but tell us more about this university course. Okay, I will tell you about the first module. I was going to take 2 modules in my first thing, but it seems I can't actually do that because of the time of year that I start the course. So anyway, the first module, My Digital Life. I'll just read you the blurb. And I'm not going to read you the whole blurb because it's quite long. My Digital Life is your introduction to the next 20 years of computers and the internet. Whether you are an experienced computer user or a novice, enthusiastic about modern technology or somewhat scared about its implications, new to studying with the Open University or an experienced student, intending to pursue a career in a technological field or just interested in the subject. You'll be taken on a journey from the most familiar personal technologies through to the computer systems that span the entire world. It will give you a view of the future in which computers stop being discrete boxes on desks and become part of almost every manufactured object. The ubiquitous computer of tomorrow promises, or perhaps threatens, to change the world beyond recognition. My Digital Life explains why this change is coming and the opportunities and challenges it brings. Through 6 themed teaching blocks, you'll cover key aspects of modern computer technology. Each block includes a blend of printed and online text, pictures, animation and practical activities. Specially recorded audio and video materials accompany the teaching material. These include interviews with leading researchers, experts, companies and users from a wide range of countries including the USA, Nepal, Iceland and Switzerland. My Digital Life isn't just about reading, it's about doing things and learning as you do them. Just some of the things you will do are use a wide range of online services to create and share documents, spreadsheets and web pages, create and combine images with a soundtrack and produce short audio-visual presentations. Learn how technologies underpinning these activities work as you use them. Experience the benefits and limitations of a digital lifestyle and what the future might hold. See how the internet makes your physical location less relevant in performing many tasks. Understand the significance of an increasing number of devices that know and respond to your location. During the course of learning about these things, you will address topics as diverse as the ownership of data, how the World Wide Web works, the privacy and security of personal data, online identity in virtual worlds, how online businesses survive or not, and many more aspects of living in the digital world of today. Blah, 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 blah. There'll be an amount of history involved in it, I believe, from what I read elsewhere that I'm not seeing on here. Yeah, it sounds very interesting, and it sounds like stuff that I have an aptitude for, that I'm good at, that I know about already a good deal of it, the multimedia aspect, and there'll be an amount of photography and video usage and music and stuff that I do already, that I can do, that I think it's going to be very interesting. But that's just the first bit. The next module that I'm doing is a design module. You know, it's supposed to enhance or promote creative thinking, or be good for people who are good at creative thinking. And I do the creative thing. I like making stuff. Virtual reality headset being a good example. Yeah. But I don't think I'll be starting that module until October. Mark the Morose. As both a hardware collector and a lover of retro games, what's your opinion of modding classic systems? For example, adding composite or SCART and stereo output connectors to them. You've bemoaned the awful TV picture from your Atari 7800. So would adding composite and audio ports spoil the authenticity of the console, or improve it by making it actually playable on modern displays? What about more radical mods such as region unlocking, overclocking, etc.? As bonus question, if you had the skill, would you make any mods to your systems? And do any of them have mods already? Cheers. Okay, in principle, I don't object to modding if it... display and audio mods so that you can play the thing on modern TVs. I think cool, great, no objection to that whatsoever. Overclocking, no, I don't really, I don't hold with that. That's modifying the functionality in a different way. You've got to be able to see and hear the thing to play it. And if you don't have a CRT TV, you know, some of these things just won't play on modern hardware. I'm fortunate in that I have a CRT that I can pretty much display all of my things on one TV or another because I've got old hardware. Yeah, but modding to some of my systems, I would, if I had the ability, and this is answering your question, your later part, I don't have the ability to do modding. Me with a soldering iron is dangerous. I don't have a steady enough hand, I don't have the skill for soldering, I would just break it. My eyesight isn't up to it as well. I mean, I've got to wear reading glasses for that kind of thing, and I just don't dare. The risk of breaking the thing is too great. But if I had the ability, yes, for display output and stuff, I would mod. Because you know, it's good to be able to display on a modern TV, especially when you're making videos. That I think cool. I have my PC Engine is modded. It's got a SCART output, and that's not standard because the standard RF output on PC Engines apparently is bloody awful. But mine, it was modded when I bought it, and I think cool, great. That's, you know, I'm cool with that. I've got a chipped PS1, and I think cool. Region unlocking and all of that lot, I think fine. It is allowing you to play the games in their original form, but on a system that maybe wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And burned discs. My PS1, yeah, a lot of the PS1 games that I played recently, they were on burned discs because the PS1 was chipped. I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine. Overclocking. I mean, I suppose the thinking is it will enhance some games. Maybe their frame rate was poor and I mean, I don't know. Hard driving on the Mega Drive, would that do better if it was overclocked? Certainly, a lot of Amiga games do better with a faster CPU in them if it's been upgraded as opposed to overclocked. So some Mega Drive games or whatever might be enhanced. I don't do that. I don't have one that's overclocked. I would actually worry about reliability as well, longevity. So it's not something I would care to do myself, or have one myself that was overclocked. But if other people want to do that, who am I to say you shouldn't do that? Yeah, more radical. Yeah, I covered that. Yeah, I think that answers all of that. I'm open to it. I don't do it myself. David James Logue. When did you first get internet access? And if it was a long time ago, what memories do you have of it back then? I first got onto the interwebs in 1999. It was towards the end of the year. It was on my Commodore Amiga 1200 tower. Dial-up. It was quite... I had a 56k modem at that point. Yeah, I got onto bulletin boards using a 33.3 or whatever. But I had a 56k for the internet. Dial-up. It was slow. It was... I was initially actually disappointed. The browser that I was using was a thing called Voyager, and it was limited. It had no JavaScript, it had no Java, it had no Flash. The web was very static. It was not particularly interactive. You know, it was just, here's a page of text with some pictures. So it was all about the information. Online chat did not work on websites with my computer. I mean, I'd heard about people being addicted to the internet, and I didn't get it. I sat there and it was like, okay, so it's like a magazine, only you mostly can't find what you want because search engines at that time were crap. Google wasn't a thing. I think it maybe existed, but it, you know, the main search engines at that time were Yahoo and Alta Vista, and to a lesser degree Hotbot. And they were crap. They really were. You could not find what you wanted. You would put in your search and you would scroll through pages and pages and pages of stuff that was completely irrelevant in the hope that maybe you would find something by page 100 or whatever. It was awful. Then I discovered IRC, and then I understood why people were saying they were addicted to the internet, because I became addicted to IRC. First channel I went in was a channel called AMERC, which was just the default channel for the IRC program that I was using, because it was called AMERC, or AMERC if you like. And I hung about in there for a couple of months, and then I hung out in a channel called 30ish and Friendly, and I made some friends in there, and I brought some friends to it as well, people who I knew in the real world. I hung out there for a while, and then I started hanging out in a channel called England. All of this was on Undernet. Undernet was my IRC network of choice. Yeah, and I hung out in England for several years. I got to be an op, probably quite a, kind of like on YouTube, Marmite, you either loved me or hated me. I won't say love, but you know, there were people who liked how I did things and there were people who didn't. I was kind of humorous but strict, kind of like I am with my comments really, you know, play by the rules, and I will, you know, I would chat along and have a laugh and everything, and do my best to be a good host. And those who didn't, the ban hammer was waved ruthlessly. And that's how I did things, and some people liked it, some people didn't. At the time I thought I was a great op. Now, I don't know if I was or not. I don't care. I don't go there anymore. Things went in a direction that I really didn't like, and in the end the rules became something that was for the benefit of the ops and not the chatters, and they were not followed when it suited certain people who should have been enforcing them, and it all became bullshit. It became, you're only doing this because you like the power. And for a lot of people that was actually true, and I was not one of them. I thought, no, come on, the trolls turned out to be right, really, and I saw this to be the case, and I left. And that left me really disillusioned with that part of the internet, and I never went back, really, apart from like a quick look every now and then to see if anyone's still there, and they're not. Yeah, that was my experience of early internet. IRC dominated it. The web was non-interactive, and then IRC was massively interactive, but it became very chat room politics, ruined it, really. Double standards and all of that. Wow, this is ancient history because this is from like over 10 years ago. Okay, moving on. Matt Hopper. Star Wars Episode 7 trailer will be online for Friday. You're of a similar age to me, so Star Wars will be embedded in your psyche. Oh yes. The prequels destroyed a lot of the magic for me. Are you hopeful that the new movies will rekindle the true spirit of Star Wars? Perhaps a silly question, because as it stands, it's all pure speculation and it will go either way. We have nothing to go on until the trailer, which you may have viewed by the time you record your video. I haven't viewed it yet. I am hopeful. That's a weird thing, isn't it? George Lucas created Star Wars and then he ruined it. Constantly rewriting it, editing, tinkering with his own creations and wrecking it. Han Solo did not fire second. Stop pissing around with it. And then the prequels, yeah, I agree that they had lost the magic. They were far, far too much detail. Too much history, too much politics, too much story. The details don't matter. It's good versus evil. And George Lucas lost sight of that. And he tried to make it grown up. He tried to make it plausible and believable. And in doing so, he forgot the one thing that it needed to be, and that's fun. Disney do fun. I think the thing is that the prequels, if you watched the prequels first and then saw the originals, you'd think, wow, the originals were dumbed down. You know, it was simplistic fairy tale stuff, but that's what made Star Wars great. It wasn't especially intelligent. It wasn't highbrow. It was a fairy tale, and it worked. Disney do fairy tales. I have high hopes. We want it a bit dumbed down. It is just a fairy tale. It's good versus evil. Give us strong characters who we can care about. Screw the details, screw the history, screw the backstory. Just give us some people we can give a crap about while they fight the evil empire with lightsabers and blasters and fancy cool spaceships. Yeah, I have high hopes. They could ruin it. I mean, just how dumb will they make it? We do not want Jar Jar Binks or anything that dumb. And even the Ewoks. Wow, can you hear my stomach? I'm really hungry. Yeah, I hope that answers that question. Sanical Streifengrauer. Hi, it's that bloke with the awkward German sounding name again. Hi, bloke with the awkward sounding yeah, you. Hello. Sanical Streifengrauer. Am I pronouncing that right? I think I might be. As a gamer, I'm sure you've had your share of moments where sometimes, somehow, things happen on the screen that really aren't supposed to. Which glitches, if any, do you find particularly memorable, either for their absurdness, game-breaking potential, or for any other reason? Mostly I don't remember. I can only remember two. One is, it was a bit of a game breaker, on Battlefield 1943, where perspective lines, I don't know what was causing it, and it didn't happen very often, but you would have lines of perspective that were graphically represented by a big just a grey filled polygon filling part of your field of view, and it rendered it unplayable because it would block your view of things that were happening, and invariably you got shot. And another one that happened recently that just made me laugh, Battlefield 4, and this has only happened to me once, while the textures were still loading. Initially, when you start a level, all of the graphics are there, the scenery and everything, the objects are there, but the textures, they first of all load in a low definition form before reloading in a higher definition. And while it was on the low def textures for the land, I appeared able to walk through it to a degree. I didn't fall through. I was on a quad bike and it was like it was in water. The wheels were below the level of the ground, and I went up a hill, and as I went up the hill it was like I was getting deeper and deeper. I didn't quite fall through. My man didn't drown, but the land was above the level of the wheels of the quad bike, and it just looked funny. And then the high definition textures loaded up and it all went back to normal. It was funny. I wish I'd had video footage or had been recording it at the time. Didn't break it, it was just funny. I can't think of any other glitches that I've encountered, to be honest. I mean, I've seen videos of some, like on Grand Theft Auto, something to do with a car and a swing where it puts you into orbit, more or less. I've not encountered that. I have fallen through the world on, actually I might have fallen through the world on Battlefield 1943, where, yeah, I think I was in a bunker and I've got under the landscape somehow. I think I was, maybe a grenade went off somewhere near me and it battered me right through the ground, and then I looked up and I was falling. Definitely done that on an Android game where I drove a bus off the edge of the map and just fell. That was kind of cool. But that's about all, really. There have probably been others, but I don't remember them. I've fallen through the road on hard driving for playing the PS. It's on a compilation for the PS2, and it seemed to work okay on there. But when I played on the PS3, near the start of the level, you fall through the road. Complete game breaker. Yeah, falling through the world seems to be a common thing on 3D games. It wasn't a thing on old school 2D stuff, obviously. And that is the final question, I think. Yes, it is. So that wraps it up for today. What is coming up? Well, there's the thing. There will be more gameplay. I have got something coming up. There are things happening, but I'm going to tell you about that as and when they happen. Working in association with a particular website. I will tell you more. On the teaser here. Good things are happening. Things that I'm really quite excited about. Yeah. What I say working in association with. I'm not. You got the whole MCN, multi-channel networks thing, which I resist getting involved in any of them, because it's the financial things and contract things and restrictive nature and blah blah blah. But I am associating myself with a particular website, and it's not an obvious one, but it's a good one and relevant to a large part of what I do. And I will tell you more as the time gets nearer, but it's very cool and I am very pleased to have been invited along. And there are other benefits involved in that I will tell you about as we get there, but I'm telling you, just hinting at it now, just to maybe pique your interest, so that when it comes along and I can tell you what I could tell you now, but I'm not going to. Be prepared, it's coming. It's good for me, it's good for them, it may interest you, and if it doesn't matter, because it won't spoil anything either. Was that a big enough hint? It's not really a hint. It's a teaser. I'm excited anyway. Right, that's it. More Mega Drive games, and maybe an unboxing. I don't do unboxings, but I'm kind of excited about something that I'm hoping will arrive today. It might. Okay. I'm going to stop now. Thank you for watching.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up button. I upload videos daily, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. To all those who've already subscribed, I'd just like to say a great big thank you.